Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive into something kind of mind-bending? We're talking spirituality, A&D, artificial intelligence today.
Really fascinating
The
stuff.
big questions for sure. Luckily, we've got Dr. Seamak Godarzi's book, Beyond Algorithm, to help us out.
And what's so cool about Dr. Godarzi, he comes at this from all angles. Law, tech, A&D. He's deep into spiritual traditions himself.
You're right, his background is wild. War veteran, explored Sufism, Islamic Irfan, even modern guys like Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, and don't forget his dad's library growing up. Law, philosophy, A&D, Sufi poetry, all mixed together.
Talk about a blend. You can totally see those influences and how he looks at AI and spirituality.
Totally. Like he sees these connections where most people wouldn't, these worlds that seem so separate.
Before we go too far, though, for folks who might not know, what exactly are Sufism and Islamic Irfan? Just a quick explainer.
Sure thing. Sufism, think of it as the mystical side of Islam. Direct experience of the divine, meditation, chanting, deep thought, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'm following.
Now, Islamic Irfan, that's more about gaining knowledge, deep knowledge about reality, about yourself, the whole shebang, like a path to enlightenment, mentally and spiritually.
So both are about going deeper, beyond the surface level of things.
Exactly. And that's where it ties into Dr. Godarzi's work with AI. Can tech help us on these paths, or is it holding us back?
Huge question. And Dr. Godarzi, right off the bat, he says this connection between spirituality and tech, it's not new at all. Humans have always used tools to find meaning.
It's true. Look throughout history. It's there. Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching, indigenous cultures too. This need to connect with something bigger, it's universal. And we've always used tools to do it.
The tools keep changing, though. I mean,
Yeah.
the printing press, that totally revolutionized how we access spiritual texts.
Ah.
Led to massive shifts in thinking, the Protestant Reformation.
And then bam, the internet, virtual communities, online courses, meditation apps. It's mind-blowing how much spiritual practice has changed in just a few decades.
And now, AI. A
Yeah.
whole new set of questions, new possibilities.
For sure. AI counseling, interpreting sacred texts, even AI art and music that feels spiritual.
Makes you wonder, can AI get spirituality? Or is it just a really good mimic? Which, speaking of, leads to the hard problem of consciousness. How do we even explain subjective experience? What does it mean to be aware? Can AI do that?
A question that's stumped everyone for ages. Philosophers, scientists, now AI throws in another curveball. The thing is, AI doesn't necessarily have to have its own subjective experience to change how we understand consciousness.
Right, so even if it's faking awareness, it makes us question what it means to be human, conscious, to have a soul.
Exactly. It's like AI is a mirror to our own minds, makes us face these deep questions about who we are, what makes us unique.
Love that image. And Dr. Godarzi gets into how all this plays out practically, too. These AI apps, Headspace, Calm, making meditation mainstream.
Totally. And not just generic meditations either. AI tailors the experience, matches your needs, your goals. It's like ancient practices, but updated for today.
And there's research showing it actually works, especially for beginners, like having a digital coach in your pocket, keeping you on track.
Not just meditation, though. Think about it. Analyzing religious texts, finding connections between traditions that humans might miss, even generating new W interpretations of old scriptures.
Wait, AI is interpreting religious texts now. What kind of insights are we talking about? Totally new stuff, or just connecting existing ideas in different ways?
A bit of both, actually. There are projects using AI to go through tons of Buddhist scriptures, looking for those subtle patterns and themes that even scholars might miss.
Like AI is the research assistant, giving us fresh perspectives.
Precisely. And it's not just about meaning. Some folks are using AI to translate spiritual texts, make them accessible to way more people.
Wow. Breaking down barriers, building bridges between cultures. Makes me think of that Rumi quote, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. Like maybe AI can help us find that common ground.
Beautiful way to put it. AI's potential for understanding, connection, it's not just individual, it could be global.
And then the big one, Mindar, the android Buddhist monk in Japan. Talk about mind-blowing.
Right. Sermons, answers questions, interacts with people in a way that's almost lifelike.
Incredible, but also a little creepy, you know?
Mm.
Can a machine really grasp something as deep as spirituality.
It's causing quite a stir among Buddhists and tech folks. Some see it as this amazing innovation, making teachings more accessible, especially for younger people.
Others probably worry it's turning spirituality into a show, a fake version, without the real human depth.
Exactly. And that's a core tension Dr. Goodarzi keeps coming back to. Authenticity versus innovation. Are we enhancing the experience with tech or making it less real somehow?
Like, can you capture lightning in a bottle? Or does trying to control it ruin the magic?
With AI, it's even bigger. We're not just capturing, we're creating. And that could change how we see spirituality forever.
Exciting and scary all at once. Speaking of big questions, what about the soul? That intangible essence of who we are. Can a machine, algorithms and data, can that have a soul?
A question that's haunted philosophers forever. Now AI throws a whole new wrench in the works.
Right. Because if AI can fake consciousness so well, if it learns, adapts, even expresses emotions, does that change what having a soul even means?
Some philosophers, like Daniel Dennett, they say maybe the soul isn't this separate mystical thing. Maybe it's just our brains being complex. And if that's true, then maybe AI, as it gets more advanced, could develop something like a soul.
But Dr. Goodarzi is careful to say there's a difference between simulating something and truly being it. He says even if AI could perfectly mimic a soul outwardly, it doesn't mean it feels the same way inside.
It's the difference between acting compassionate and actually feeling compassion.
Right, like they say, you can't fake the funk. It's got to be more than just appearances.
Exactly. And that's huge EE. As we figure out this new world where human and machine are blurring together, we can't just project our hopes onto AI and forget it works differently than us.
So, tempting as it is to see AI as a path to enlightenment, we got to be careful, skeptical. Remember its limits.
Totally agree. And that's where Dr. Goodarzi's background is so valuable. He gets both the sides, the potential and the dangers, helps us navigate all this with nuance.
Okay, I'm hooked. But let's step back for a sec. How's AI already changing how people connect and practice their faith, practically speaking?
Right. We've talked about the meditation apps, AI looking at religious texts, but there's also this whole rise of virtual spiritual communities.
This is where it gets really interesting. Not just tech helping individuals, but changing how we connect as a group.
And it's been huge EE since 2020 when the pandemic hit and people needed new ways to connect and find support.
Everyone's scrambling for online alternatives. Virtual communities exploded.
Everywhere you look, Facebook, Reddit, groups for every tradition you can think of, and then platforms specifically made for virtual gatherings.
Like what? Mostly just online church services? Or are people finding new ways to connect, new kinds of rituals?
It's both. Virtual churches, music, sermons, even virtual fellowship. But also groups trying new stuff, VR meditation, AR overlaying spiritual symbols onto the real world.
Whoa, that's wild. It's like the idea of sacred space, but without being limited to a building.
Exactly. And the research is cool. Dr. Goodarzi mentioned studies showing people are finding real connection online, that virtual rituals can be surprisingly powerful.
Makes you wonder if these online communities could one day be as important as physical spaces.
Maybe. Raises all sorts of questions about the future of religious institutions, how they adapt.
If people can get guidance, community, even ritual online, will they still need physical services or organized religion?
A lot of religious leaders are trying to figure that out right now. It's not just about convenience, it's about tech changing what spiritual community even means.
So much to unpack here. We've only scratched the surface. I'm already thinking about how AI could shape the future of spirituality for everyone.
Exhilarating and a bit daunting, isn't it? But that's what makes this so fascinating. We're at the edge of something that could change how we see ourselves, the divine, our whole place in the universe.
And the best part is, we're all part of this. We get to shape how this tech is used, decide what role it plays in our search for meaning.
Powerful stuff. Even with all this amazing tech, we still have choices. We're not just watching, we're shaping the future of spirituality.
Okay, I'm ready to go even deeper.
Let's do it. So much more to explore. AI as a teacher? Even the mind-blowing question, can AI be sacred?
Big topics. Let's take a quick break and come back to unpack those.